How's it going, everybody? We've got the top 16 from British Columbia. We've got David Cohen, the world champion, versus the undefeated Ricky from Canada. And it's going to be a mirror match. So David starts with 2 Dynamos. He ran a 1 of the 40 HP. I think he honestly ran that because he couldn't get a free retreater. But a 1 of the 40 HP retreater is definitely not bad. So David opens up. He's going to attach an energy to Dynamo, which isn't a bad play because he can possibly go for the Paralyze on Ricky, so that he's forced to use a switch if he wants to get off a turn 1 charge. Because David attached the energy, I don't see any way for him to get a turn 1 charge off, which is really good. You definitely want to try and use Thunderous as soon as possible with this deck, so you can potentially get a turn 2 80 going, and at the same time you're generating energy for your discard pile late game, so you can use the Electric to get energy back. He gets the Thunderous, drops it down immediately, and the only thing he can really do here is go for it, and I think he misses. But by putting 10 damage on that Dynamo, late game, David will be able to potentially one-shot his Eel Trick with a Thunderous, because Eel Trick has 90 HP, that puts it down to 80, and Thunderous does exactly 80, so that means late game David can capture up the Eel Trick and one-shot it with Thunderous without needing to burn a plus power, which is pretty smart. But I think he mainly went for that, like I said, to try and paralyze, so that Ricky would be stuck and wouldn't be able to do anything for a turn. But he did not paralyze. Ricky goes straight for the level ball to get another Dynamo, and then he's going to Junk Arm, discarding 2 energy for another level ball for a Tyrogue. Tyrogue is a pretty popular tech now. I mean, it one-shots 30 HP Dynamos, and it actually seems like a really good tech. Unfortunately, David's got a 40 HP Dynamo, so unless Ricky's got a catcher, he's not going to be able to one-shot it. So this 40 HP Dynamo actually helped David. And in general, I'm not a huge fan of Tyro, because that's just another Pokemon that can be dunked by Mewtwo. So I'm like 50-50 on the tech. It's still very, very smart tech, but risky tech in that you could get dunked by Mewtwo. So he attaches the energy immediately. I'm pretty sure he's going to go for the charge this turn. That's all he really can do because he does not have a catcher, and his opponent's Tyrogue's asleep. And David just immediately evolves that Dynamo into a Eel Trick, and he's going to Collector for some basics. Now, I understand a lot of people like Dual Ball over Collector, but Collector is still just really good. I understand that you want to use a supporter every turn, but sometimes you just don't have to at the beginning of the game. Just being able to Collector into like Thunderous and 2 Eels and then charge is good enough. So I think Collector's way better than Dual Ball in this specific deck. I would not want to risk getting double tails while trying to set up my Eels. So I think you really need to run Collector in here. I think both players do run Collector. He goes ahead and evolves his other Eel immediately. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I like having a free retreater on the bench so that I have easier plays. He also double Dynamotors onto an Eel. I'm not really sure what he's doing here, but I just think he has a really bad hand and can't do anything else because he passes to David, gets Tails again, Dynamo's still asleep. David goes for Sage. I see a catcher there, so he's going to be able to one-shot that Eel with the damage on it. So he uses the catcher he got, and he goes ahead and one-shots the Eel, which is really strong. He didn't have to waste a plus power there. However, I think I see a plus power in his hand and a catcher, so next turn it looks like he might be able to one-shot the other Eel. So David's got a really strong start here. I believe his Tyrogue wakes up and then he goes for it again and gets Tails again and goes back to sleep. But luckily David's got the catcher, like I said. He's just going to charge up that Zekrom on the bench so that he's got another attacker ready after that Thunderous goes down. And he just goes ahead and Junipers, or catcher plus powers and then Junipers. Discarding the Mewtwo because he honestly doesn't really need it. He's got a strong enough board that he probably won't need it for a while. And even if he does need it, he can potentially super rot it back anyway. Plus, he really needed a Juniper there, and he didn't have room on his bench to play the Mewtwo anyway. So he retreats and does this little switch thing so that he can get the energy in the discard pile so he can put the energy onto the Zekrom with the Dynamotor and then just one-shots the Eel. So I guess he didn't have a plus power, so that was a smart play. However, Ricky's just sitting there with a sleeping Tyro with an energy attached to it, and David can't do anything about that because there's nothing to catch her up. He just has to wait until that Tyro wakes up. But yeah, as I said, Ricky's got nothing on board. David's got a lot going for him. I just don't see Ricky really making a comeback here. If I was Ricky, I would honestly scoop because I just don't see him winning. Like, his eels are in the discard pile. He's got nothing on board. He's got 3 cards in hand. And David's ahead by 2 prizes. And in the mirror match, prizes are everything. However, a Mewtwo War can pretty much change any lead that an opponent has. That's what I learned while playing in this tournament, is that I would get good leads, but near the end it would still end up being a really close Mewtwo War, despite the lead I had against my opponents. So I think that's kind of lame that you can get a really strong lead and do really well early game, but that would end up not mattering because of Mewtwo. But so he wakes up finally, and he gets that collector, plays it immediately, and gets 3 basics. I guess here you would want to go for eels and a Thunderous. I'm guessing that Zekrum's Bolt Strike twice, so it's down to 50 HP, and he goes for a Mewtwo, a Thunderous, and a Dynamo. Not sure if he's going to drop the Mewtwo down, but he just drops it down anyway, because he knows David doesn't have a Mewtwo ready, and then he discarded one of them, and he just attaches a DC and knocks out his Dynamo. But David has the Collector, and gets that reliable Mewtwo out. Like I said, Collector's really good in this deck. He's able to get his second Mewtwo, and honestly, if David can one-shot that Mewtwo, I would say that it's most definitely over now. There's not really much Ricky can do after that. So he attaches DC, and he goes ahead and Dynamotors to the Mewtwo, and then he Dynamotors to the Thunderous. He then brings up the Mewtwo and KOs the Ricky's Mewtwo with X-Ball, and honestly, I guess Ricky can try and get another Mewtwo out with the DC and Revenge, but looks like he doesn't have the cards to do that, so he just uses Tyro, goes to sleep again, and I'm guessing David has a catcher because he's using Junk Arm to get it, and he's going to catcher up the Dynamo. Yeah, definitely good. If he gets rid of all of Ricky's Dynamos, I just don't see Ricky being able to do anything at that point because his deck runs on Evil Tricks, and he just scoops up the game. So that's game 1. Come back for game 2 soon, and catch you guys later.